That song, the way they just sang that, has the capacity, it feels like it transports you to another place. During the month of August, that is our goal, to transport ourselves to another place around the world. You know, if we think about it just a minute, today we live in a world with over 7 billion people. 195 different countries. We speak over 7,000 languages with a huge number of dialects beyond that. And we roughly worship and celebrate through over 4,000 different religions and spiritual traditions. For any religion to think they've got a corner on the market, can you imagine that? As Elaine Pagel said, God overflows the narrow banks of any one religious tradition. And so this month we are looking at different places around the world and different spiritual traditions for the purpose of finding how that may bring us into a place of introspection, insight. What do we think about what we believe in light of this? Learning about ourselves through looking at the life of other cultures. There's an interesting bit of trivia that I found humorous. It says the Japanese eat very little fat and suffer fewer heart attacks than do the British or Americans. The French, however, eat a lot of fat, but also suffer fewer heart attacks than the British or Americans. The Japanese drink very little red wine and suffer fewer heart attacks than the British or Americans. The Italians, however, drink excessive amounts of red wine and also suffer fewer heart attacks than British or Americans. The Germans even drink lots of beer and eat lots of sausages and fats and suffer fewer heart attacks than the British and Americans. The conclusion: eat and drink whatever you like. Speaking English is apparently what kills you. Hear, hear. I'll drink to that, or I'll eat a sausage to that. Or a veggie tofu burger, whatever. So today we begin with the spirit of aloha. Today we're going to look at the beautiful islands of Hawaii, or Hawaii as the Hawaiians say, and what is known as the spirit of aloha. And how does that give us insight into our own spiritual beliefs? A little bit about Hawaii. We must travel to the Pacific Ocean to think about this and to realize that Hawaii is the most isolated inhabited landmass on Earth. That many of the native Hawaiians believe that their home is the remaining mountain peaks of the lost continent of Lemuria, or Mu, which is known as the motherland of humanity. As a matter of fact, you may not know, in 1972, the United Nations, a diplomat came to Hawaii to research the Lemurian ruins and concluded they were real. Also in 1972, Sergeant Wannell from the Army Intelligence of Oahu also studied those, and through a top secret project through naval intelligence, which apparently is not top secret anymore, it was discovered that there was something below the surface that they do believe at one time was a continent that is under the ocean, and the tips of that continent form what are known as the Hawaiian Islands and some of the Pacific Rim. So that to me is just an interesting point, whether we believe that or not. The Hawaiians refer to all people as children of the rainbow. You know, one of the things that fascinates me is, why is Kat's skin color different than mine? Why do some people have an Asian or a Polynesian or a Native American? How did those differences come about? That absolutely fascinates me and leads me back to the mystery of our one source. And I love our diversity, and I believe there is great value to be found when we come together in community through our differences, that our differences really enhance our similarity. Well, the Hawaiians believe that. They believe that we are all children of the rainbow. How many of you have visited any of the islands in Hawaii? Hawaii is truly a beautiful place. I had the pleasure of serving as a senior minister on Maui I was there for almost 3 years, and it was an incredible experience. Hawaii has no billboards, no rabies, no seagulls, no snakes. Has its own time zone, it never changes, so it truly marches to the beat of its own drummer. Hawaii has almost 700 different kind of fish found in the waters, and over 200 of these are not found anywhere else on earth. In the early 1800s, the Christian missionaries came to Hawaii to Christianize the natives. And they found the Hawaiians with their way of worshiping, and so they tried to convert them. And the Hawaiians also, the men were bare-chested, and so the missionaries didn't like that, so they gave the Hawaiians white shirts to wear. Well, the Hawaiians didn't like that, so they painted their shirts, which... If you look at Mike in the sound booth, he's got on an Aloha shirt. So the Aloha shirts actually were born out of that. And the Hawaiians say, speak softly and wear a loud shirt. And that tells you a little bit about their language. The Hawaiian language is very much like Aramaic in that it is double messaged. Quite often, everything that is said has 2 layers of message. That is because for the ancient Hawaiian people, there is no separation for them between the world we see here and the world of spirit. That every single thing in the physical world has a spirit or a metaphysical part of it. And so they say things like, I talked about this several weeks ago, let the song and the singing be in the same key. Well, that can apply to music, but what they're talking about really applies to your life. Let the song of your soul and the singing of your life be in the same key. They say things like, let the clouds return to the sky every morning. And for us, that would mean, let our thoughts return to the heavens, to our source every morning. Another popular Hawaiian saying is, if you fish with foul bait, you attract stinky fish. I won't explain that one. Hawaii is officially, legally known as the Aloha State. Aloha is an incredibly powerful word that teaches us a lot about ourselves. And so as we enter this, would you give me the first slide? Aloha, it comes from 2 different words. Alo means face or front, or to be in the presence of, to share. And ha is the sacred breath of life, or the essence. And so when they say, aloha, and then it's always back, it is aloha. It is much like the namaste, that I am in the presence of the sacred breath of life. And the true Hawaiians would touch forehead to forehead and nose to nose, and they would breathe out of the nose because they believe that the nose extracts the pure breath of air. That's the way they would greet. Aloha is part of being all, and all being part of me. Isn't that powerful? Aloha is part of being all, and all being part of me. When there is pain, it is my pain. When there is joy, it is also mine. I respect this in all areas of life. I respect this as part of the Creator and part of me. I will not willfully harm anyone or anything. When food is needed, I will take only my need and explain why it is being taken. The earth, the sky, the sea are mine to care for, to cherish, and to protect. We are one family. This is Aloha. In the 1970s, the state of Hawaii actually adopted Aloha Spirit Law. It is literally in their legislative books. It says, Aloha Spirit is the coordination of mind and heart within each person. Isn't that powerful? It is the coordination of mind and heart with each person. In exercising their power on behalf of the people and in fulfillment of their responsibilities, obligations, and service to the people, the legislature, the government, the lieutenant governor, the executive officers of each department, the chief justice, the associate justice, the judge, it goes on and on and on, the district courts, may contemplate and reside with the life force and give consideration to the Aloha Spirit. They believe that the Aloha Spirit, it's not anything that only Hawaii has, but it's something that they remember. It's something that they live, and they truly believe that it's a gift that the entire world will return to them to possibly remember that. So when you think about the Aloha Spirit, one of the best ways to describe it, would you give me the next scripture? is found in Ephesians. In the Christian scriptures, if we look at Ephesians, it says, be completely humble and gentle. Be patient, bearing one another in love. Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. There is one body and one Spirit. Just as you were called to one hope when you were called, one Lord, one faith, one baptism, one God and Father of all, who is over all and through all and in all. The Hawaiians would truly do believe this, and I think to me that's a great definition of what you may call what it means to understand the spirit of aloha, or the aloha way of being. So the way that the Hawaiians pass this on to their children, when I was there, I very quickly was told this story. There's a story that is passed down. Typically the grandparents are called kapuna. So if the kapunas can tell the grandchildren this story, they do. But if not, someone in the family will tell the children this story. And it becomes a reference point and a metaphor for life. And the story goes like this. Each child born has at birth a bowl of light, or a being of light. If he tends his light, it will grow in strength, and he can do all things. Swim with the shark, fly with the birds, know and understand all things. If, however, he becomes envious or jealous, he drops a stone into his bowl of light, and some of the light goes out. Light and stone cannot hold the same space. If he continues to put stone in the bowl of light, the light will go out, and he will become a stone. A stone does not grow, nor does it move. If at any time he tires of being a stone, all he needs to do is turn the bowl upside down, and the stones will fall away, and the light will grow once again. So if we break this down and look at it, it begins by saying, each child born has at birth a bowl or being of perfect light. It's as if all of us come into this world with this as a perfect bowl of light. This is very much what Jesus said when he said, do you not know that you are the temple of God, a sacred vessel of God, a being of God, a being of light? It gives us a metaphor for realizing that we are a container for spirit. And what I love about this, again, it says, each child born has at birth a bowl or being of perfect light. Several weeks ago, I talked about Unity's 5 basic principles, the 5 ideas that are Unity's philosophy. And the first one is that, the first and second one is that there's one power, one presence, God, and that we are created in the image and likeness of God. It's what I call original virtue. You see, for each child to be born a perfect being of light says that you are born in original virtue, a perfect expression of the Creator. I've always thought it strange that no one who would have a brand new baby would look and hold that child, the magnificence and the beauty of a brand new baby, and hold them and say, you are so beautiful, you poor little sinner. We just, we don't usually go there. But it's in our collective psyche, because we're told we're born into sin. We're told we're born flawed, that we're fundamentally insufficient. Well, the Hawaiians don't drag that garbage along. They say, you are a perfect bowl, a perfect being of light. Nobody looked at you and said, you poor little sinner. Each child born has at birth a bowl of, or being of perfect light. Now we begin. If, there's always an if he tends the light, it will grow in strength, and he can do all things, swim with the shark, fly with the birds, know and understand all things. So that says that, yes, we are born the likeness and image of all that is. We are light. We are perfection. And if we tend the light, if we believe this, if we cultivate this idea and grow it for our own, if we fan our own light and seek to bring our own light forth, then we will have that as our experience. And we know that to be true, that we are the light of the world. But as the scripture says, don't put a bushel over your light. There's things that we ourselves can believe. If you believe that the light is not in you, you're going to show up that way. And so if is doing our part. How do we do our part? There's a beautiful story that comes from Change We Must by Nana Viri. This is a Hawaiian woman who actually studied with Ernest Holmes, the founder of Science of Mind. She said that she climbed Mount Fuji, she meditated, she did all these things. She explored the Pentecostal religion, and she returned to her Hawaiian roots because it encompassed all of these things. And she wrote in her book, she told a story. She said, one day, while I was at my kapuna, my grandmother's, I was there, and the children in the village were playing in front of the house, and we called out to my grandmother, "E kapuna, el malahini is coming. Grandmother, a stranger is coming." My grandmother responded, "When he arrives, call me." When he arrived, the children said, "E kapuna, e malahini, the stranger is here." The grandmother came out and said to the stranger, "E komomai," which means welcome. And then she invited him in for food. "Come and dine," she said. While they were eating, I sat on the floor of the lanai, the porch, to eavesdrop. When he was through eating, the visitor, the stranger, thanked my grandmother, and she came forward with a little coconut dish with salt, and she extended some salt to him, which is the Hawaiian custom. He took the salt, and then he went on his way. When the stranger left, I asked my grandmother if she knew him. "Ole, she said. "No, he was a malihini, he was a stranger." "Then why did you feed him our food?" She got very intense and told me to sit on the floor in front of her. She said, "I want you to remember these words for as long as you live." She said them in Hawaiian. I'm not going to even attempt that. But I want you to remember these words as long as you live. I was not feeding the man. I was entertaining the Spirit of God within him. I was not feeding the man, I was entertaining the Spirit of God within him. When I was 6 years old, I experienced this, and I never have forgotten my grandmother's words. The practice of honoring the other is so much a part of the culture that it needed no name. Today we call it the aloha spirit, but to the Hawaiians of old, it was inherent and it was natural. They lived it. To feed a stranger, that was pure aloha. Aloha is a feeling, a recognition of the divine. It is a belief in human spirituality. They said that, she went on to say that they were taught never to judge, and if they would begin to judge someone, they would say, "You don't know their spiritual background." Isn't that beautiful? You don't know their spiritual background. You don't know what they believe about themselves, is what they're saying. So how do we, each child is born at birth with a bowl of light. If he tends it, to tend it is to constantly remember that we are the light and that you are the light. We are all the light. If he tends it, he or she will grow in strength and can do all things, swim with the sharks, fly with the birds, know and understand all things. Another if. If, however, he becomes envious or jealous, he drops a stone into his bowl of light, and some of the light goes out. Light and stone cannot hold the same place, the same space. If he continues to put stone in the bowl of light, the light will go out, and he will become a stone, and the stone does not grow, nor does it move. And so it's like every day we get up, we wake up, and in fact, we are this beautiful bowl of light. And then as we wake up, we kind of start remembering. Here's all these beliefs that somebody gave me. I might as well keep them. And then we get out of bed and we start encountering other people. And then there's that lady in the line who has 12 items in the checkout line. There's the old ex-husband. There's her. And there's that guy that never mows his lawn. Oh yeah, and then there's her who does everything just right and makes me feel like I do everything. Oh yeah, and then oh yeah, and then there's, oh, really? Really? Anybody else? Thank you. And then as if that were enough, there's the past. And so before long, keys and all, what am I identified with? The bowl of light or all of my stuff? All of my beliefs, how I got entangled. You see, that's why Jesus said, shake the dust off your feet. That's why the Buddhists say we must have a beginner's mind. And that's why the Hawaiians say, huli yobo. Huli, H-U-L-I, huli yobo means this, turn it over. That it's a practice to turn it over. You can keep the money, but turn it over. Huli yobo, that to turn it over. And they teach the children sometime throughout a day, you will have collected so much, you must go to the ocean and wash your bowl, wash yourself, wash your consciousness. Now see, what the Hawaiians also know, this is talking about this. Remember I said there's two levels. This is the physical level, and you can see how this acts out, but they're talking about this as an energetic level. Because the other thing the Hawaiians truly believe is that we all have mana. Mana is spiritual power. They even believe in Hawaii that there are little mini huna. You've probably seen pictures of the little, kind of like little elves, and they'd be equivalent to Hawaiian elves. They're real cute, little mini huna. They believe that if a person can't hold their own power, that the mini huna will come and live around their house and hold their power for them until they can hold it themselves. That would be the equivalent of us saying, if you can't hold the truth of your being, if you can't hold the fact that you're beautiful and whole and perfect, that it's waiting here. It's waiting for you until you can take that power. And so symbolically, to huli your bowl, to every day empty the bowl, to turn it upside down, is to get yourself in order. Just like if someone were really acting out, we may say, you know, you need to go settle down. You need to go collect yourself. They would say, you need to go huli your bowl. You need to let go of whatever it is that has got you in the state where you have forgotten this, that you've forgotten this about yourself or about someone else. And if need be, go to the ocean, go to the river of life, go to the water, and whatever you need to do to return to that state of true remembering. There's a powerful story, a true story, that demonstrates this. In this book, The Bowl of Light, this story actually is found in a book called The Bowl of Light. It says, all time is now, and we are each creators of our life's conditions. We create ourselves and everything that becomes a part of our lives. Any situation in which we might find ourselves is brought about by learning the many pathways of life. When we wish to change our circumstances, all we have to do is release our present condition. Release whatever state of being we've got ourselves stuck in. What thinking has got me stuck? What feeling am I holding on to? What old idea or belief that I've become identified with it, I've like become identified with the stone rather than my bowl of light. We wish to change our circumstances, all we have to do is release it and it will be gone. On the other hand, if we find it useful to continue, we can hang on to the problem and not let it go. The story is teaching children choice, that we all have spiritual mana, we all have power, and that it's not power over, it's our own power, and we give our own power away if we ever let our bowl get cluttered and don't find a way to every day empty that bowl. So the story, would you give me that? Dr. E. Haleakala Hu Lin is a psychologist. More than 30 years ago in Hawaii, at the Hawaii State Hospital, there was a special ward. This is a true story. A clinic for the mentally ill criminals. People who had committed extremely serious crimes were assigned there, either because they had deep mental disorder or because they needed to be checked to see if they were sane enough to stand trial. They had committed murder and rape and kidnapping or other such crimes. According to a nurse that worked there in those years, the place was so bleak that not even the paint could stick to the walls. Everything was decaying, terrifying, and repulsive. No day would pass without a patient inmate attacking another or a member of the staff. Dr. Lynn was asked to work at this particular hospital because of his reputation. He accepted the job and he worked there for 4 years. He worked on the most dangerous ward where they kept the criminally insane. Psychologists there were quitting on a monthly basis. The staff called in sick or simply quit. People would walk through the wards with their backs against the wall, afraid of being attacked by patients. It was not a pleasant place to live, work, or visit. Dr. Lynn agreed to have an office and to review patient files, but he never saw the patients. He sat with the patient files, and while he looked at those files, he practiced ancient Hawaiian ho'oponopono, which means huli your bowl. Return to zero. Get empty, get clear. Take yourself back to the truth of your divinity. After a few months, patients that had been shackled were being allowed to walk freely. Others who had to be heavily medicated were getting off their medications. And those who had no chance of ever being released were being freed. In the end, the atmosphere changed so much that the staff was not on sick leave anymore. Actually, more people than needed now wished to work there. Prisoners started gradually to be rehabilitated, released, or sent to other prisons. Dr. Lynn worked there close to 4 years. In the end, there remained only a couple of inmates that were relocated somewhere else in the clinic, and the facility had to close. The facility literally went out of business. People asked him, "What did you do those 4 years?" And he responded back as Hawaiians do. He said, "If you are playing baseball, what must you do? You must keep your eye on the ball. If you are in life, what must you do? You must keep your eye on your divinity, on your bowl of light." He said that he simply sat with those files and he didn't try to change anything. He simply tried to huli his own bowl, clear his own bowl. When he would read the files of patients, he would do everything he could to reach that place of seeing them in the light. That no matter what they had done, that was their behavior. That underneath all of that was still a bowl of light. And when he could see each person's bowl of light, he folded the file and went to the next. He said, "You never purify the person or the place or the thing. You purify the energy you have associated with it." I love the spirit of aloha because to me it is exactly what we believe. That we are all the image and likeness of God, that we are the sacred vessel. And so for the song that will lead us into the time of meditation, there are no lyrics because you will know this song. It simply goes, "This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine. Let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. This little